There are exactly two reasons why I like to revisit Death Stranding. First of all, I really like to know how good HDR is in this game, because back then, when I analyzed HDR, I didn't have the experience and knowledge what I have now, and of course I didn't use the tools what I'm using nowadays. And second of all, and this is the most important reason, I like that you can play this game with the best possible settings. Hello my friends, my name is Markus, welcome back to the channel. I like to keep this video straightforward and very short, so that's why you have now exactly 5 seconds to like and subscribe. And the first question I like to answer is, does Death Stranding 1 is actually supporting the PlayStation 5 HDR system level calibration? And my answer, or the answer, is actually no. So please keep in mind that I don't have any access to the PC version or Xbox version, but I'm pretty sure in regards to HDR, there is most likely no difference at all. In this game, we have exactly two settings where you can adjust the HDR picture. We have the screen brightness setting and the HDR luminance setting. So let's talk about the screen brightness setting first. And my only recommendation here is do not touch this setting. The standard factory setting is 5, and in regards to the HDR black level floor, that's actually the best setting I can find. If you like to decrease this setting, let's say to 4, you would actually start to crush some very fine shadow details in certain situations. And as soon you increase this setting from 5 to 6, you will actually lift up the HDR black level floor. Much more important is the next setting, the HDR maximum peak brightness setting. The standard factory setting is 50, and what I found is that 50 is roughly around 800 nits. So that's actually a very good start if you have a TV like the LG CX or any screen with a maximum peak brightness of around 800 nits. And because it's Sunday when I recorded this video and I had some time, I prepared this table for you. And as you can see, the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights would be around 3500 nits with setting 100. So again, the standard factory setting 50 is roughly around 800, which fits the LG CX actually pretty good in combination with HDR. But to make it even better on the LG CX, I would actually recommend setting 52. And my recommended settings for the LG G4 with HDR and game mode enabled, and by the way, I found HDR in this game pretty well done, would be 73. This is roughly around 1500 nits, which fits the LG G4 just perfectly. And I know there's always the question, HDR dynamic tone mapping on, or what should you actually use? So first of all, I would not recommend to use dynamic tone mapping off, because this in most of the games actually provides you with the worst experience, especially when we have a game where we have settings like in this game where we can actually adjust HDR. So again, I would actually recommend that you give it a try and use HDR. If you think the game is in general too dark, then use dynamic tone mapping on. But with dynamic tone mapping on, give it a try and maybe set the HDR peak brightness setting to 100. That means 3500 nits, because maybe your TV actually is providing a better HDR experience with dynamic tone mapping on with the maximum peak brightness. So give it a try and let me know in the comment section what you think. Okay, my friends, so what is now my summary in regards to HDR in Death Stranding Part 1 and what can we expect for Part 2? So first of all, this game is not meant to show off your brand new LG G5 or S95F, because in regards of the HDR implementation in when we're just looking from a technical point of view, it's done pretty well, but it's not a cyberpunk game, okay? So it's not very bright and shiny and a lot of HDR effects on the screen, okay? So that's not the case, okay? So cyberpunk or different games are more meant to be show off your brand new screen. This game is, in regards of the HDR implementation, very, very subtle. It's much, much better than SDR. Don't get me wrong, okay? As soon you have a proper done HDR implementation from a technical point of view, there's no way that any SDR implementation can be better. That's not possible, okay? So that's why my recommendation is play this game on a proper HDR screen with HDR enabled, okay? So again, what can we expect for part 2? First of all, HDR system level calibration support, please, because the setting or the menu what we have in regards of the HDR peak brightness setting is not helpful at all, because 50 means 800 nits. I mean, what is that, okay? If it would be at least 800 or 8 or something like that, that would make much more sense. But 50 is 800 nits. I think 72 around or 73 was around 1500 nits, and 100 is 3500. So this doesn't make sense at all. And the picture or the demonstration picture where you can set up HDR is not very helpful at all. So again, I hope for better HDR settings for part 2, but in regards of the technical implementation, I hope it's the same as in part 1. Thank you very much, and I see you guys next time.